thing about this person being jumped and his wife being jumped on 105th and was it Parnell?
104th and Emerald.
Emerald, yeah.
That's what they about Fernwood Park.
Thank you for listening to Soul Radio. The opinions expressed. Thank you for listening to Soul Radio. The opinions expressed in this program are those of the host and the guests. This station is not responsible for any claims or representations made and does not endorse or recommend any products or services mentioned.
Rick, Brandon, Tracy, set it off with that spiritual truth on Soul Radio. Let's go, listen up. You want to sing with the triple threat crew with the spiritual blonde Rick, Brandon, and Tracy. They got the master plan to bring you into God's holy land with Christian real. The next stop and making marriage work. Relationship letters, they will make it twerk. Lady B spitting out wisdom and words with Club 50 interviews if you haven't heard. So set it off and let's stay together talk. Happy Tuesday, 6:30 Central PM. You feel me? Big for real, y'all. LSDT, do you think? Hit the ring, yo.
Attention please, attention please, attention please. Listen. If you don't like gospel, smooth R&B, and a talk show that's out of this world, then stop listening now. For the rest of you, get ready for 2 hours for pure talk and musical joy.
I like the way it's going down.
Get ready for Let's Stay Together Talk.
All right, listen up, everybody.
In 5.
All right, everybody, welcome up to Let's Stay Together Talk Show. Your host, Reverend Rick McCain, along with my baby, my girl, my boo, Arthur Brenda McCain. How you doing, baby?
I'm doing good. I need some of that energy you have.
I got a lot of energy. 2 hours worth of energy right now to keep me going through the show. Gloomy day, but when you're doing some work for the Lord, you got to be ready to, go into battle when the Lord calls you. So I'm ready to battle on this station.
Okay, well, battle on.
Spiritually, not figuratively, but spiritually battle. So what's going on with you? You doing all right?
I'm doing wait a minute, I'm so confused. It's Tuesday.
We always do show on Tuesday.
I know, but the weather just throws me off because it feels like a winter fallish day again.
Yeah,
but
we're having some cooler temperatures in Chicago. Hopefully by next week we'll get them up. I think it's going to be 50s, 60s throughout this whole week, and maybe next week we'll get a little bit warmer weather. But hey, it's not snow, and everything seems to be okay. Praying for everybody. We still get this COVID going around, and I'm a little bit concerned because they're starting to, release or relax the guidelines for this. People saying you don't have to wear your mask if you gotten your shot. The fear that I have is that a lot of people are going to say that they took the shot and didn't take the shot, and then we might be going through a third wave because people are so concerned about getting out and not taking this vaccination that we're going to start getting people sick again. Praying for people in India. If you haven't heard, India is going through a serious situation over there. People are dying in the thousands a day. They're having problems with oxygen as well, and they don't have any place to put any bodies, and so they're actually cremating the bodies at a burial location. So we're praying for India. They can, some of the United States and other, surrounding countries will help them to have oxygen. I mean, because the oxygen helps for the ventilators. If you don't have that, it doesn't help any. So we're praying for people in India. What are you getting prayer reports or praise?
I do. Prayers are still going up for the Silla family. Still praying for them. For the Johnson Coleman family, still praying for that family, and for another Johnson family, keeping all of them in prayer.
Yeah, we're definitely praying for them, for the Johnson family. Not much to say about that other than that it's a situation that I'm doing a lot of prayer for as well. I was trying to see if there's something else I wanted to say before we go on. LP, you doing all right, man?
Yeah.
That's about all you're going to get from them, ladies and gentlemen. That's all you're going to get. Yeah. So we're going to actually go into the show. I'm going to give a shout out to Soar Radio, 2-time Stellar Award winner for Best Internet Station of the Year. Do that my shout out now for all of our sponsors who sponsors us as well. Eyeline Management and all the theater places that sponsors us. We want to thank you all. We haven't gotten that sponsorship in a while. Hopefully it'll come back because theater's not been out. But it's slowly but surely it's coming back. I think when Stephen comes with the best of theater, he would talk about that as well. We're going to talk about the best in theater soon, and we're just going to talk about a lot of things. But our Christian Reel, I'm going to let my baby shoot that out for me with Christian Reel. You hear me okay?
Yeah, I'm just checking some.
Okay.
Okay, for Christian Real, we're talking about building a better you.
Yeah, it's interesting. I come up with this stuff, and every time I see something, I try to place it into a some kind of something we can talk about on the show. And so right now we have our radio show, or we have our radio show on the radio, but we have our at home. We have this young man, R&L Constructions. You hear the commercial. Romero is the one who's been working on his home. Did an excellent job for a lot of things in the house. When you hear the commercial, you can contact him at Romero Constructions or R&L Constructions. He's doing Chicagoland area. He's doing an excellent job. But we finally got a chance to change my bathroom, and I jokingly say that bathroom to me, compared to Brenda's beautiful bathroom, was like an outhouse. My downstairs basement bathroom, and like a lot of us, our basement bathroom is not the greatest. We have a nice bathroom upstairs, but the basement bathroom is not as great. But that was where I was sentenced to go to. Brenda closes her door, won't let me go into her bathroom. Even if I got to go downstairs and go to do number one or something like that, I've got to go downstairs because she has a padlock on it. She won't let me in that bathroom at all. She's looking at me because I'm actually fibbing. I'm joking, but her bathroom looked really nice compared to mine. And I'm over here laughing because I'm trying to figure out why is LP looking at his teeth and smiling. But I digress.
I'm running an ad for your show on my Twitter.
Okay. So I'm looking at him like, what is he doing? But the bathroom downstairs really needed some work. I mean, it was just torn up. I mean, the walls were coming down a little bit, and it really needed some work. And so when I thought about this, I was saying, wow, this is an opportunity to build a better you and how you can build on the person that you are, making sure that the person that you are in Christ Jesus is better year to year, day to day. And so before I go into, some of the ideas that I have with that, I want to know what you have to say about that.
About building a better you?
Yeah.
It's always good to want to try to strive to be better. For those who say, oh, I'm good, I'm content, you're not growing because you're stagnant and you're staying where you're at. So building a better you is something I think everyone needs to learn to do. If it's just something you do or try new every day.
Yeah, and I think as Christians, we should always strive to be Christ-like and do things better. But when I looked at the bathroom and I saw how, they put it together, it's an older house. It's been here for like 60-something years, I think.
We're the same age, just 55.
55? Okay, 55 years. And they did a terrible job with that bathroom basement because they had plywood, what I always keep on forgetting the name of that other stuff. Drywall. I don't know why I can never remember drywall, but drywall. But they had some drywall. They had some that wasn't. The bathroom, the shower was falling apart. It was looking terrible. The top of the wall had some other kind of, material on that, and it was just terrible. And so as we were tearing it down, I was saying, sometimes as individuals, we need to understand that there's some things about us that we need to tear down and rebuild. We need to tear down and rebuild. There's some things about us. If we're truly honest about the Christian that we are, there are some things about us that we need to, to tear down and rebuild or reconstruct, retransform. The Bible says, we need to transform our spirit. We need to transform our, the outer part as well. How we think, how we act, In some cases, you may want to transform how you look. You may want to do some exercises and or change your hair. But it's a transformation that, we must see. We have to first accept. As I always say with the AA, you have to first admit that you're an alcoholic. But in order to make this transformation for the bathroom, of course, I had to have the money, but I had to first acknowledge that this bathroom needed to be changed. It was at a point where it really needed to be, remodeled. And I just think that sometimes with us, we have to be honest with ourselves and say there's some things about me that I need to change. I need to tear down. I need to reconstruct. I need to reform. I need to rededicate myself about who I am and make the decision that there's a change that needs to happen.
That's a good point. Certain points I do want to make on change is that you could set as I always say, you have to get your mind right. Set your head right, get your mind right that you need to change. Some changes are necessary, and then some changes, it's like, hey, it's kind of like a luxury. I could change this, I could do that. Like you said, change the hair, change the bathroom. And which bathroom, when you was saying, you looked at how the foundation was, how they put it together back in 1966, 65 or whatever. When they built the house, you do have to go to the root of everything and make observations on yourself. Some people could tell you all day long, you this, you that, and you're not hearing them. But you have to look within yourself, as you always sing that song. Take inventory and stock of yourself and say, it's time to make a change, as Michael used to say, Michael Jackson. But you have to observe certain things about yourself, which benefits you. That, like they always say, whenever you're doing something like that, you're only benefiting yourself to learn to go through a change and make the predictions of, I'm going to do better. I want to be successful. Yeah. It's certain goals you have to achieve for yourself to do this stuff. And some people, like I said, just don't want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it can be hard sometimes when you look at yourself. Especially sometimes people will think, well, if I say that something's wrong with me, then that makes me feel bad. Have a low self-esteem or something like that. But all of us need to readjust in some of the things that we do. And it's like the bathroom, I still use that as an example. There were some things in that bathroom, and we pretty much tore the bathroom all the way down. Tore the whole walls and everything out. But there was a couple of things that we kept, and I was working with, Romero, and we were talking about it. Ramiro from R&L Constructions, and we were talking about it, and we had the shower base, and I'm like, this thing is so dirty, I want to get rid of it. But he said to me, no, I've got some chemicals, and I can clean this out. You don't need to get a new base. I was thinking about getting a new cab. He said, no, this is pretty good. We can just paint it. And so, I listened to that advice, and sometimes we need assistance from other people that we trust and we know that has our
best
best
at
interest.
heart.
Thank you, best interest in heart, and that we could say, this person, what they're saying to me, can help me, and don't take it as your criticism. And I don't like to use the word constructive criticism. Take it as someone is seeing something about you in a positive way and saying, hey, all you need to do is do this or do that and change that. You don't need to get rid of. You don't need to do this. You don't need to do that. Just change. And when he said, you don't have to get rid of the shower base, and he used this chemical to clean it, and I just think, there's no way he's going to be able to clean this thing. And I mean, it looks exceptional. I mean, it's like, wow, it almost looks new.
Right.
How clean he got. He was able to get all the dirt and the grime out of it. And sometimes we need to get all the dirt and the grime out of our lives, or individuals that are dirt and grime, or just our thought processes are dirty or grimy. And I don't mean you're thinking 30 dirty thoughts. What is wrong with my tongue right now? I'm just saying that some things that may cause us to sin or place us into sin, or people that are causing us, we may have to, remove that from our lives. But there are some things that we just need to clean up.
I want to go back to constructive criticism.
Mm-hmm.
I myself love that terminology from somebody if they're giving you constructive criticism to help you and not just criticizing you and badgering you. You're not doing this right, da 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 da. But it's always good, especially if it's someone like we say, got your best interests at heart, that they're telling you something out of love to want to help you, to want to improve, help you improve yourself. But going back to the analogy with the bathroom is great. How you could tear something down, because literally the renovation of that bathroom in the family room was torn down. Started from the beams, building the walls back up, to almost really complete finish with it right now. But little details and stuff we're working on. But it is just so beautiful how you could see the tear down of something, and then how it's been rebuilt, and go, that is not the same bathroom.
Right.
And that relates to people. When you see people who always was mess starters in their life, and they grown in Christ, and you see them again, it's like, hey, something different about that person. They took the high road to better themselves. And I have a person in mind I want to use as an analogy. I'm not going to say her name, but she always started mess. I never wanted to be around her, because it was like she would talk about me, talk about family members, talk about friends, and it's like no one would say nothing to her. And then one time, I don't know, was it a child, when we was in the presence of her, a child has said, you act my age. And I remember this child probably was 11 years old, and this person was in her late 20s at that time. And for some reason, that child reached her, and it resonated with her to make a change. So even with this, that little voice helped her to become a better person, because she said she couldn't even see herself acting the way she did back then.
And in some cases, you just need to, just when you're making those changes and you're listening. I think a lot of people don't like the word constructive criticism, because it's almost like an oxymoron. You're criticizing me, but you're helping me. The word criticism always causes a little problems with people. And so I would just say that, just see that there needs to be a change. And the bathroom is going to be our example. When we looked at the walls, I mean, we actually had a situation where something happened that I wasn't expecting to happen in the change. And sometimes you got to be prepared for unexpected challenges when you try to change the individual that you are, or to reinvent, that individual, making it better you. We had the shower, and then all of a sudden I got a new shower base, walls and stuff like that. And then we tried to turn the shower on, and no water would come out. Now there was, all the water's on, it wouldn't come out. And then we, found out that there was, two of the pipes that was there was completely rotted out, and the water couldn't go through. And so we had to, redo, take those pipes out and replace them. And then there's sometimes in our lives, there's some things, there's some people, there's some situations that we need to just replace and remove out of our lives. Clean it out. And whatever something happened to someone, and God has put it on my mind. Something happened to you in your past that you're still allowing to rotten you, to destroy you, to stop the flow of the spirit, within you from flowing the way God wants you to, because you're still thinking about that past. You need to remove that and get that out of the way and change the perspective of that by just saying, hey, this is causing me a problem. I'm not going to think about it anymore. So there's certain things that you need to do when you're making that better you. You got to look at what may need something unexpected that might happen that you may have to change. Don't get thrown off like, oh, here I go, I'm trying to change and this happened. Or you're trying to change and somebody ticks you off, or something happens in your life where you're trying to do a change and then you lose your job, or you can't pay your bill. But God is still there. God is still in control, and you got to know that unexpected things will happen. You just got to be willing and able to make that change when it comes.
And to stay focused and dedicated in doing it, because the minute, and people, we know where I'm going, the minute you say I'm about to make that change, Satan want to test you and see how faithful you are to make that change, because everything will come up to discourage you, and you're going to say, you know what, I ain't into this, and you're going to keep failing and failing until you just say, enough is enough. I'm going to go through with this. A lot of people don't like the word reinvent, but you could reinvent yourself during this time. I still say this is the best time ever to reinvent yourself, learn something new, start a business, do whatever you want to do, work out. Just better yourself. Every day, do something to better yourself.
Yeah.
Read a book, people. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, but make sure it's something that's going to better, we're talking about, a better you, that's going to make you better. And it's something that you need to do consistently. Mm-hmm. If you're just doing it once, it's got to be something that that spiritually is going to make you a better individual. And I go back to the situation where the pipes were rotten, and we found out these are steel pipes, and they were, because it's set for a long time, because I haven't used that shower in a long time, and it's set for a long time, and it got corroded. Sometimes we hesitate on what we need to do. That things, you will allow something to vex you, to trouble you, and just sit and just just grieve your spirit so long that you start to accept what it is. This is just going to be a part of my life. No, that those pipes wasn't used in a while, so when it wasn't being used, something else decided to fill the space that was not being used. Spiritually, if you're not using the spirit or the gifts that God is giving you, something else, and I think Brenda brought this up, Satan will sometimes take that space and fill it with something else, even if it's just you sitting down saying, well, maybe this wasn't meant for me. No, you don't hesitate. Don't procrastinate. Use it the way it's supposed to do. Since there was no water going through those pipes, the pipes rusted. There was things that came through the pipe and rusted the pipe. When he pulled the pipes out, we saw dirt in them. Like, how the heck dirt get all the way up here? But the pipes had rust, in there, and we had to remove it. But the problem was is that because it wasn't being used, something else filled the void. And we got to be careful sometimes spiritually not to allow something else to fill a void in our lives when we're not doing what God has called us to do.
That's a good point. And again, Satan will fill that void if you're idle-minded. You remember growing up, Mom used to always say, never be idle-minded, because that's Satan's playground. He gets you.
Devil's playground.
What? Go ahead and say that again.
It's the idle mind is the devil's playground.
There you go. And see, not just mothers could remember that. But it is. It's a true statement of that. He could fill you up with so many things. And it takes Kirk Franklin, a lot of people know his story, to say it filled him up with a lot of things that he shouldn't have done back in the day.
And the last thing I'm going to say about this, we're talking about building a better you, is that you have to have a plan. Once you decide to make this, tear things down, and you have to have a plan. And so we had in the plan, I use Brenda. A lot of times people think that Brenda is the most creative person in the household. I've got some creativity too. And this bathroom was pretty much, me putting it together.
Well, yeah.
But she went with me and we picked out some colors, and I'm like, okay, I can see this. If I can see things more, further. I can visualize things more than Brenda can. If she looks at it, she could put it together. But I can visualize it even before it's there. I could see the bathroom completed and exactly what I wanted before it was there. So but you have to make a plan.
Yeah.
Don't just tear down and say, what else am I going to do? You have to have a plan on what you want to do, and you have to have a completion date.
Yeah, because if you don't, it's going to keep going on and on.
And I'm not saying that, you say, well, I plan on, losing weight and 6 months, and the 7th month come and you feel like a failure. No, you have to have a date that you want to get this done. Once you've started, you have to have some kind of a plan of what you want. How are you going to finish this? When are you going to finish it? And we were able to do that by putting things together. I was able to buy this. I planned I wanted that. I wanted to do this. I wanted that. And I was able to follow through with that plan to the point where now the bathroom is completed. And it is a wonderful thing to see the progress from tearing something down to building it up. And so, and even individuals, when you make the decision to transform or tear something down or rechange or change who you are, have a plan on when you want this completed. So now you have a victory that, hey, this was done. And then you can go to the next plan.
One of the hardest things to do is to have a start date for your plan. And when you don't set your mind to, like earlier I said, you have to be in a good headspace and have your mind right. So the biggest thing that I was reading when we was talking about this, when you said we was going to talk about it, was the hardest thing most people do is to be accountable for a date to start something. Because if I don't put a validation on it or tell someone about it, then nobody can hold me accountable, and I can't hold myself accountable. So what do you usually do? It's like, I could push this off, like you said, with the weight thing. But it's like baby steps, people. Nobody's saying from LP to Rick to Brenda that you got to do this today, and then the next 48 hours this had to be finished. Don't do yourself like that, because you're setting yourself up to fail.
Yeah.
But have an end date that's reasonable to help better yourself. When it's going to take time to do something. It's like, if I want to lose weight, give yourself a 6-month rule, like you said. And if you don't lose if you lose 1 pound, that's 1 pound that you don't have anymore.
Yeah. And the last thing I'm going to say, this process, this bathroom's pretty much looked like this for like 26 years. It wasn't that bad, but it just deteriorated over time. And so, we finally figured out that it needed to be changed. You have to, like I said, accept that you need a change. But the last and final thing you got to do, especially if this is going to be a spiritual change, even if you're doing something mentally, you still need a spiritual mindset. If you're going to do something physical, you still need the spiritual mindset. And again, I'm talking to Christians out here, because you have to first know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. Once you decide that you want to make this change, make sure it's in line with what God calls you to do. You might have you're like, well, how am I going to do that if I'm trying to lose weight? But what does God call you to do? How is it falling in line? It still needs to be something that falls in line with God. I understand you want to lose some weight. That's great. That's a plan. I'm using the bathroom as an analogy. You probably say that ain't got anything to do with spiritual, but that's an analogy. I'm not saying that. But spiritually, if you're going to make a plan, you need to go to God and find out, God, how does this fall in line with you? Because you might be losing weight for something that's going to be spiritually able to help somebody. There may be somebody that needs that spiritual guidance on how to lose weight. So in all things, acknowledge God, and He will direct your path. You have to know that. In all things, acknowledge God. Anything that I do, if something happens to me good, I thank the Lord. If something happens to me bad, I say, thank God. If it was just this, thank you, Jesus. Because I know that God is in control of everything that happens in my life, good or bad. So I thank him for the simplest of things, and I thank him for the things that may hurt me or change me, but I'm still alive.
Right.
You know, I went through a lot of things, and I thank God for that. So keep God in that plan in everything you do.
In everything. A lot of people say, you pray and thank him for everything. I'm still here. Yes, I do. You thank him for everything that he has given you and not given you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing how sometimes we forget to bring God into our plans, but then when the things don't work, we want to ask God for help. Start off with God, and then you won't have to worry about coming to God after you start. So that was our discussion, a Christian Real on building a better you. We're going to go on with some songs here. LP's going to do his thing in a few seconds. We got Donnie McClurkin, stand. I said that, you got to stand on the premises of what you're going to do to build a better you. And then we're going to cover our R&B thing from Earth, Wind, and Fire, devotion. You have to have a devotion. If you're going to build a better you, you got to stand and have a devotion of what you plan to do for your life. Hey, listen up to these two songs, commercial breaks, and we'll be right back. LP, do your thing, man. Join us on Facebook.
And I said, amen, Red.
My girl, I don't want to say her name. Is it
Lady Rochelle?
Rochelle? I haven't said the name in a while. I'm going to make sure I say it right. She's out there. I be listening to that show sometimes. She be doing on Monday. So throw out what that show is so everybody could know where they can find you at as well. Good to see Mr. Stephen Best and Anna out there as well. We're going to talk about some subjects here that Brenda's going to bring up. But real quick, I'm just going to say, you haven't heard yet, the guy named, I think it's Chauvin, the one who killed George Floyd. I'm just going to say killed. He's trying to get a new trial because he was saying that he didn't get a just trial because of it being in Minnesota. People getting death threats. They should have sequestered the jury and not allowed them to be out. It's coming up with a lot of junk, which of course, a lot of these high price or high viewed profile. Thank you.
One of those.
Yeah, one of those. One of those high profile cases usually gets someone trying to get that case, thrown out and retried. But I don't think this is going to happen with this one. But what you got for us, baby?
I hope that it doesn't happen.
I mean, he might wind up finding himself, if they get a retrial, he might get first-degree murder thrown on his butt.
So you pushed it, and we obliged.
Yeah.
New mom and her baby. I'm leading with that one. New mom and her baby daughter are killed in crossfire of shootout at Virginia apartment complex. Young lady, I think she was 30 years old, named Sharnaz Hill, had her little daughter, Naziah, out in a courtyard of their apartment building. I forget what date that was on, but it was just recently. One of those beautiful days out in South Richmond. And I don't know if it was a gang related, but they just crossfire shooting, killing her and her baby. That just did something to me. That cute little baby there, and people in Radio Land, beautiful girl and her daughter, but murdered them, and they caught the guys, which was shocking to me. I'm like, okay, somebody's saying something about that. It was about 4 or 5 people, Rick, that were doing this from the ages of 22 to 19, that they caught them because they're on a courtyard. And I haven't been in apartment complexes like that, but they said that's how they do. They don't care who in the middle of it. They spray the bullets.
Well, it doesn't seem like they don't care about it no matter where they are. This senseless violence that we're having here around the world is just ridiculous. It just seems like no one cares about life anymore. I was downstairs and I was saying to myself, we're talking about Jesus and things like that. And I said, I don't really think people care about what God thinks anymore. I think even as sometimes with Christians and the way they think is that we can just ask for forgiveness. I don't think the world cares anymore about life, especially when it's somebody else's life. They just don't care. It has to happen to them, or it has to happen to someone that they know. They don't seem to care about life anymore. And I mean, I'm trying to kill one person, so I'm going to shoot every way I can, and that other person gets hit, I don't really care. I'm lost. You think, as Christians, we need to really start again, going back into prayer, corporate prayer about what's happening in the United States, city to city, state to state, because this violence, that happens, which is not just one race. You hear about it a lot with African American races on television and stuff like that, but it's happening all over, and in every race. We're at a point right now that we just don't seem to care about life anymore.
Unfortunately, in the worlds and the times we live in now, hey Cassie, no one seems to value life, and as Cassie says, no one respect. There's no compassion out there.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't.
And for the gang members, usually what gets me is they're spraying bullets and never hit their intended target. The innocent people always be caught up in the rapture of the bullets. And then, too, the ones that, like I said, they caught these guys, they're going to go to jail. But then have they learned anything if they do go to jail? It's like, okay, well, it's one of the interviews of someone said, everybody got to die. When I hear that, I cringe.
Yeah, and it's terrible. But I'm like, now you got this little baby. You got the picture up there. And shout out to Cassie, my girl. Good to see you out there.
I was going to say, Cassie's not running the green screen.
No. No, she's not. But you see this little beautiful baby who, just came into this world, and now she's gone. And for that individual not to care about life that much, that someone said, everybody got to die, we all know that all of us are going to die. From the day that we're born, we're moving toward our death date.
Right.
But you don't have the responsibility to say that. Here's the thing I'm going to say. We all mad about the guy that killed George Floyd and said he shouldn't have done this. But so we need to get mad about this too. This is the same thing. A person that's taken someone's life unjustly. I mean, I don't think there's any way to justly take someone's life, but they just took this baby's life, but we're not going to talk about that. I mean, it's senseless. It's ridiculous. I don't know what to say about this. I'm blown away that we live in a world now, to me, that life is nothing.
And as Lady Rochelle says, eye for an eye, which we know, eye for eye, tooth for a tooth. But I don't know. It's just so sad out here. I know a lot of races kill each other. And I don't like when people say, well, you guys killing the most. You don't know that we just more advertise on the media the most.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it needs to stop, because when you see that innocent faced newborn baby who didn't have a chance, she literally was born to die, because this might sound morbid, but we know everyone has a death date. That unfortunately ended up being her death date, but in the arms of her mom.
Yeah.
So it made me think about Kobe Bryant with him and his daughter. You with someone you truly love, the mother to the daughter, because the daughter don't know anything, but it's sad.
But in that situation, that was a tragic situation. This is just someone caused, and Lady Rochelle said eye for an eye. This is old biblical stuff where they would say if someone did something to someone, you should suffer the same fate. That changed by the grace when Jesus Christ died for our sins, that that now we can go to him for mercy and grace. But I don't know, it's like we're at that point where it seems like almost if you do it to somebody else, we just don't care, because we just know that I can kill somebody and I might get away with it. I mean, you heard that idiot that once our president Donald Trump sit there and say, I could probably kill somebody on 5th and 3rd, and I could get away with it. I mean, he literally said this. And so this is how the society believes now. I can do so. You've got a law, I think it's in California right now, where they are allowing people to take their car and run through a crowd if they're protesting.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the heck is this?
Because they feel as though they're trying to get away from the danger, so they're allowed to have a pass to do that.
I just think it's senseless of what we're doing in the United States now, and we want to say that we're the greatest state in the world. Okay. I mean, the greatest country in the
I'm
world.
about to say, because we sure ain't the greatest state now.
No, because it's not it's a United States. I just,
right. You do have this other comment
go ahead.
here. Sometimes the consequences are not immediate, especially with the no snitching rule.
Yeah. And we need to.
Well, here go one we're about to talk about. Someone snitched in a good way and videotaped it for the world to see.
Okay.
Florida principal under investigation after video shows her paddling 6-year-old girl. Now, if you're not familiar with paddling, it's just think about sororities and fraternities paddle that they use during hazing and then rush. That type of paddle is actually allowed in the state of Florida, which is one of 19 states that permits corporal punishment, but the practice is prohibited at that particular school. But this principal felt the need that I'm gonna call this girl mother, because the young girl had, as she said, destroyed the computer. Called the mother Rick to come to watch her peddle her daughter.
Yeah, and the situation was that the woman who did not speak good English wasn't really understanding what this teacher was about to do. And she decided that she wanted to whoop her with a sorority paddle. I got to admit, I used to have a sorority paddle for my son, too, back in the day. And I actually got whooped when I was in school by a sorority paddle. And the Bible basically says, don't spoil the ride, for the child, that sometimes a child needs to be whooped. The problem I have with this is that the teacher made the decision to whoop the child. This and this was a very young child. How old she say she was? Was it not 6? I mean, this is a very young child, and a paddle like that, I don't think that's appropriate. My son was like in his teens, at this point, when I used to, say, hey, I'm gonna talk to you, I'm gonna warn you, I'm gonna whoop you. And, it was just something that I did, but that was my child. It was more of a scare tactic than anything else, but they actually whooped this 6-year-old child like this and had the mother there, and the mother was confused about what was about to happen until they started doing that. This principal's under investigation. I believe that this principal should be fired and removed from her job, and who knows? I'm sure the school is going to face some kind of a financial problems with this as well.
Probably going to get fined because this isn't legal.
No.
It's just ridiculous to me that if the district did not allow that, like you said, she took it upon herself to chastise the school. Yes, maybe, who knows? Maybe she didn't break the computer. But you was telling the mom, you're going to have to pay $50 for it. Okay, that should have been it. I would try my best to pay for the computer. Sorry, my daughter did it. But you took it upon yourself to have her already in your office when the mother got there, bend this poor child down, and even if the mother couldn't speak English, she was smart enough to videotape this because she didn't think people would believe her. And that's the sad part about it. You have to videotape everything now just to prove your innocence or what's wrong or what's right.
And I think, one of the things now is that everybody needs to be concerned because cameras, all phones have cameras on there now. You don't have to know how to speak English to just take a picture or a video or something like that. And I remember that old movie Malcolm X when he was saying, you got to watch out for those cameras. You got to watch out from those cameras. Nowadays, you can take a video of anything at any time. And so I'm glad that she did that because, they probably wouldn't have believed her. Against these two teachers who were doing that, but I don't think the principal should be fired. I think the person that's assisted her should be fired as well, because it was an assistant
you
as
was
well.
A witness to it and wouldn't say nothing.
And it's just a shame that something like did that. How are we looking on time, LP?
You guys got like 3 minutes.
Okay, this next story. New Jersey high school teacher is suspended after calling George Floyd a criminal. This story was quite interesting. Tamir Williams, a student, recorded the rant and contacted school officials when they didn't respond. Now, she was in class with her professor, named Howard Zalakin. He was a white science teacher at William L. Dickinson High School. They supposed to have been talking about one thing. The conversation went far left. And it went so far left, he got on George Floyd talking about he is a criminal, ranting and raving. The classmates who was against what he was saying, he would delete them off of, the what is the stuff they do in school? Well, whatever, the Zoom thing. So it's like, so if I'm not agreeing with you, you're going to cut me off. And so she figures she contacted the principal of the school and everything. They didn't do anything. I'm so proud of you, girl. She said, well, I'm going to do better. I'm going to call the cops. Or call the authorities on them, which she did to get the story out there.
Yeah, I think the school was probably trying to cover their butt. This is what I'm saying, that, situations where we're really starting to find out, who people really are.
Oh, yeah.
And Trump has really, like I keep on saying, has brought us back 50-something years where people are starting to show, their true colors. This is not the time or the place to have this conversation with your I think was this high school or grammar school?
High school.
The high school kids in regards to what you think George Floyd is. The situation is that George Floyd was murdered by a police officer who did not want to give him the opportunity to live. He's not a criminal because of what he did.
He's not. I do want to. He is a criminal.
He's not a criminal.
No. Like he's been convicted of multiple crimes. Right?
I'm just saying.
So he was a criminal, but like that doesn't mean that like that doesn't change anything about the situation.
Yeah, but he's not a criminal for what he did.
Yeah.
Okay, because the man is talking about what he brought up George Floyd because what he did. Now he may have done some things wrong, and even in that situation, he still doesn't have the right to be judge and jury. As this teacher doesn't have the right to bring this up in a classroom to
when
discuss
they was talking about climate change.
Right.
Yeah, really weird.
So, I mean, he just went off on a rampage on this, which is ridiculous. I'm ashamed of the school for trying to hide it under the rug, with this situation. But I think a lot of times people, they get frustrated with, I'm tired of people thinking, he's a hero. To some people, he might be a hero. I don't look at him as a hero. I mean, I'll admit, I don't look at him as a hero. I look at him as a victim.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care what kind of crime you did. Even this Andrew Brown, they were saying they were putting a warrant on him. He's a criminal. That doesn't give you the right to be judge and jury and kill somebody.
Well,
they have their day in court.
Derek Chauvin or Chavarian, whatever his name is.
Chauvin.
He's a criminal with a badge and a blue uniform.
And unfortunately, there's a lot of them out there. Like I said before, there's a lot of great cops. You got some bad seeds, bad grapes. You got some bad fruit, as they would say.
I mean, that was just a sad situation here.
When we go back on the air, I want you to talk about the little girl getting the spanking. Come back with that one. Because I think we're going to, save the other stories for later, because I think we're about to get ready to get back on the air.
Yeah, you guys have 1 minute.
1 minute.
I undershot your time a little bit.
Okay, so we're not going to be able to get that done in 1 minute. Hey, for those of you all that are listening to us on Facebook, what is the other two things? YouTube.
Twitch and YouTube.
Twitch and YouTube. Tell a friend out there to come join us so they can be a part of the conversation. We're going to be talking about standing up for unrighteousness on the Let's Talk About It. There are so many things that are going on right now in this world where there's so much unrighteousness going on, and we, the righteous of God need to stand up and be accountable for the things, that are going on and speak up about it. And we're going to talk about that, and then we're also going to come back with talking about in the midst of a storm, but I'm blessed. You might be going through some things, but no matter what you're going through, you got to have a spirit of being blessed, that you know that God is going to take you through no matter what. So there's going to be two things we're going to talk about. You're also going to hear from Brenda on Club 50, and she's also going to tell you a little bit about Ife Design. So stick with us. We're about to get ready to go back from our show.
5 seconds.
5 seconds. Point to me or something. Let me know we're on the air.
I'll just tell you.
Okay. Tell me.
You're back.
All right. Hey, welcome back to the show. This is Rick McCain along with my baby, my girl, my boo, Alta Brenda McCain. LP Productions is here. Tracy Howard is probably social distancing. We don't know if she's going to be out here or not. But thank you all for being with us. We just got really through talking about building a better you for Christian Real. And before we go into our subject of standing up against unrighteousness, for Let's Talk About It. I'm going to talk about one of these stories that we were talking about on off the air when we were doing Facebook. If you haven't joined us yet, we're on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. You can see us there as well. You can listen to Soar Radio, 2-time Stellar Award winner for Best Internet Station of the Year, and you can also see us on there. So do two things. You can multitask, listen on Soar Radio, but get on your computer or turn on your phone and get on Facebook, get on Twitch, get on YouTube, and check us out. Hey, baby, I said I want to talk about one of those stories that we're going to be doing. What is that one story we kind of talked about we want our radio audience to hear as well?
Okay, out there, we want you to know about the Florida principal under investigation after video shows her peddling a 6-year-old girl. Now, you want to go ahead and go right into it?
Well, I just want to say, I admitted, I had a paddle for my son, and I called him Woody.
Woody.
I called him Woody. It was more of a scare tactic, but it was my son. I wasn't whooping. I wasn't whooping anybody else with the paddle. It was just something I had there. And I told him I was going to talk to you, I was going to warn you, and I was going to whoop you. And I also told him your best advice is to listen to Brenda because that's the only person that's going to be able to help you. But that was my son. This is a principal who made the decision that she's going to whoop somebody else's son because. And then have the mother there who wasn't really good with English, understanding what's going to happen. Fortunately for the mother, everybody's got cameras on their phones right now, and she took a picture of it.
And I do not blame her. I mean, the district does not allow that behavior from teachers and principals in their district. But of course, she took the matters in her own hand because the little girl, she said, broke a computer. She already talked to the mother to have her come up there and tell her you will have to pay $50 to help them get the new computer. Okay, somewhere down the lines of rules of engagement, it changed when she got there. Daughter was in the principal's office with another person, assistant, and the principal commenced to peddling her child. And since the woman, like Rick said, did not speak good English, she videotaped it.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, this was 2021. What the heck is going on?
Rick? And you said district. I think even in the state that if this is, I don't think it's a law that you can do that. But I think if this is something
in the state of Florida, it is a law. You could do corporal punishment
at schools.
Mm-hmm. See, not at this particular school,
right?
But I would have a problem. District. I would have a problem with that. That you have the right to whoop my child. I'd have a problem with that if I'm in the state of Florida. That you could do that because I don't think that you should have the right to whoop my child. Now I understand they're trying to give teachers, some kind of a power because back in the day, in the 60s and the 70s, when I was alive, teachers had the power.
You're still alive, boo.
When I was alive, when I was a child, I know I'm still alive because I'm on the radio. When I was a child, I think they had the ability to do that.
They did because my great teacher had it.
But I think now, I don't know. It's just. And I got a whooping one time at school. And then when I got the whooping, my mother whooped me at home because I got a whooping in school. But the fact of the matter is that I just think that now some of these teachers are taking a little bit too much authority. And I'm just a little bit concerned about it. I'd be a little bit upset if someone whooped my child in school, especially today.
I would be livid.
And I think that rule should say if you whoop my child and eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, I can whoop you too.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's going down.
And, y'all gonna make me lose my mind up in here. That would have been my thing. Could you see anybody just whooping little Philip? So nice and he behaves so well. I mean, I couldn't see him even have any issue. He's such a well-mannered young man.
He is.
Yeah, right. So, but but doing something like that, I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean. And I think in some cases they took advantage of this mother because they knew that she didn't understand.
Yeah.
Because I mean, what I heard, she just scratched the computer, which doesn't really seem like it'd be that much damage to a scratch computer. But you never know. But that's one of the stories we're talking about. If you are listening to Soar Radio, we love you. Still continue to listen. But you can also catch us on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. Check us out live, and you'll be able to check out our show and see the beautiful Brenda, LP Productions, and myself on the Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Hey, baby, we're going to talk about now with Let's Talk About It.
Standing up against unrighteousness. How do you do that, Rick?
With God. That's a quick answer. I was thinking about this. A lot of things I'm seeing, a lot of things that are happening, where people need to take a stance. You're seeing all of these, boycotts and stuff like that. People are doing things wrong. Even in Moscow, they're trying to stand up against the president there, because of what he's done to one of his. One of the he's trying to do against one of his rivals. They're standing up there, and even here in the United States, you got Liz Cheney, who's right now standing up because some of the people want to take her out. She's the third highest ranking female in the Republican Party, but because she went up against Trump, they're trying to get rid of her. And so she's making a stand. She's a Republican. And they trying to get rid of her because of a stance that she did not agree with the things that Trump has done. And so I just started thinking about standing up for righteousness. And sometimes when we talk on the show, we talk about things that are wrong, and some people are like, well, why are you doing that? Because we talked about the police brutality and things of that nature. We talk about everything. There's nothing that we're not going to stand and talk about. If it's wrong, it's wrong. But having to make a stand against unrighteousness is not easy. Let's first say that. People, we live in a society of a bully society. United States is a bully society. I hate to say that to you all. I know some people are going to be mad that I say that, but it's a bully society. Our Republicans, not our Republicans, but maybe our Republicans, but our people in offices, I think they sometimes have forgotten why they're there. They're supposed to serve the people, not the people serve them. And then if you do something wrong, you can get away with it if you have power. How does a president of the United States only pay $750 in taxes and he's a billionaire? We live in a bully society, and so it's very hard sometimes to stand up against unrighteousness. The simple answer is being a child of God and knowing that God will let no weapon form against you prosper. The hard answer is that you have to, have stand upon your principles and believe that what you're standing up for is right, no matter how unrighteous people may think you are.
Okay, well, you do have comment from Anna saying good for her standing against Trump. Amen, Rick. And she did respond earlier to the child that was abuse. We agree with that. Now, a couple of scriptures for standing up against unrighteousness were James 1:22, but be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. Matthew 6:33 says, but seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. Now, with that being said, speak up and judge fairly. We don't get that in America. Defend the rights of the poor and the needy. You have to fight for the poor and the needy. But in order to stand up for the unrighteous, just like the Republican you was saying, you're going against the grain of the norm of what people, hey, you GOP, you're supposed to be on our side no matter what we say, talking about the lady. Supposed to be on our side no matter what the world says or what the Democrats say. But if you want to go against us, it's going to be some consequences, which is crazy because it's just like, which we love Rick's guy and everybody else was with Martin Luther King. He stood up for the unrighteous acts of this world. Yeah. Unfortunately, we've seen that he was gunned down for it. But the saying always go is, if you don't stand for something,
you'll fall for anything.
There you go. And that's what I love about him and other leaders out there. We're going to fight that good fight.
Right. And I mean, Martin Luther King, followed Christ, who stood up for, unrighteousness and ultimately gave his life for that because of the unrighteousness that was happening against, people who were considered slaves. And it's a situation where, we stand up, but, take it down to the smallest common denominator. There's some things in your life that you've seen unrighteousness in, and it could be from a family member. Are you standing up against unrighteousness? We say the United States is a bully place, a bully pulpit. And, the Republicans are sitting there saying to, Mrs. Cheney, this is the party, you need to, tote the party line. But she said, no, wrong is wrong. This is an unrighteous act I'm not going to stand for. But there's some things in your household that are unrighteous that you're not standing up for. And so how do we tell someone else to stand for the unrighteousness and you see it in your home. If someone gets shot and you know that that's one of your family members, but yet you're going to cover it up. We saw this on TV yesterday. A man covered up for his friend. It took them over 20-something years to find this man guilty for killing his wife because he wanted the child. But the man said, I promised him that I wouldn't do that. This was an unrighteous act. He killed the woman because she was going to take her child to another state, not another country, not to outer space, another state. Southwest Airlines has, sales for $69 to most of these places. You could have got there, but no, he's going to kill her. You are allowing, and God is just placing this on my spirit right now. You are allowing people to be killed spiritually, mentally, and physically, and you're not standing up against unrighteousness. Mm-hmm. So before you start looking at the beam in somebody else, pull the plank out of your eye.
Oh, we can't do that. We can't do that. I'm not going to mess up my eyes and unveil, not me, but that's, just generalizing it. I'm not going to mess up my eye and unveil my sins. I'm going to point yours out before I do me, which is sad, but that's how we do in the world.
Yeah, and it is sad. I mean, and this is not, I'm not saying this and not putting myself in the same category, because I've got to be just as justified as what I'm saying. I got to, not only talk it, I got to walk it. If there's something wrong, and me and Brenda used to have these arguments all the time when we was younger, and she think, well, you ain't got to stand up. I mean, if you're wrong, you're wrong. I can't stand up for wrong if it's wrong. Right. If I do something wrong, I can't sit there and say, nah, it wasn't wrong. It's something that's wrong. And see, for me, I realize that I represent Christ Jesus. Now, there are some things that I've thought wrong. There's some things that I've done wrong. Of course there has been. But I don't stand for wrong. And in a lot of cases, we're not standing up for unrighteous. We're not standing up against unrighteousness. We see things. And I'm going to say this, I'm going to get in so much trouble. I'm getting so much trouble. Black people are going to hate me for this. I know they are. But we get so mad about police killing each other, but we don't stand up for the unrighteous when we kill each other.
Some of us do.
Some of us do, but we sit there and say, he should have did this, they should have did this, but then we don't. I think what one person said, we've got this no talk rule, no snitch rule. We know that somebody in the neighborhood has killed somebody. We want our neighborhood to be so better, but fear causes us not to do that. So let's talk about that. What causes us sometimes not to stand up against unrighteousness? Fear is one of them. We are afraid of what repercussions are going to happen to us if we stand up against something wrong. It could be just something wrong, like that your girlfriend stole something from a store.
One of the things that you had some comments I want to get to, but one of the things I always say, I don't co-sign on people BS. That's just it. They probably say, "Dang, Brenda, you're not even a good friend." I don't do it. So if you on some stuff, don't tell me about it, because I will give you the deer in the headlight looks, and I do it pretty darn good. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not co-signing on it, and I'm not going to help you. So one of your comments were from Mr. Shelton, we have the option to be part of the problem or be part of the solution. We should all be empowered to err on the side of righteousness. Another comment was, what kind of spirit do you have? Can you sleep at night? When you walk past a mirror, what do you see? A lot of people don't see nothing.
I mean, it is. I mean, but let's not dismiss fear. For the Bible tells us, God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. You've got to look at the alternatives of what God gives compared to what you have. And so when you can look at what God gives compared to what you have, then you don't live in fear. But if you're not associated or have a relationship with God, you don't have power, love, and a sound mind. You have fear. And even some of us who know Jesus Christ still live into that fear because we don't have faith in that power, love, and a sound mind. We forget about what God offers instead of what we fear. And so because of that fear, we don't say anything. Well, I don't want her to be mad at me. Well, I don't want him to be mad at me. It wasn't that big of a deal. You know, and here's the thing. You know, nobody's looking for everybody to be a snitch. We don't want somebody who's going to tell on everybody. Mama, Ricky took a cookie. Shut up, Vanessa. You know, don't tell Mama I took a cookie. That, you know, just let it go. I ain't talking about snitch like that. You know, it's just a cookie. A cookie was, a cookie's going to be eaten anyway. I'm not talking about that. You know, the little kid that snitches on somebody. You know, I'm talking about when you know that someone has done something wrong or unrighteous. They have done something to harm someone or to do something that could cause harm, you know, or something that they'll do that'll harm themselves. There's some people out there that you know who are on drugs, and you won't step up to say anything about it. That is an unrighteous act because you're not helping that individual.
Hey, Stephen Best gave you a whole lot of cookies.
Okay.
Cassie says safety in numbers is difficult to stand alone.
Yeah.
And there is fear and there is a choice to err wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, there's fear, and you know, it is hard to stand alone. But if you know Christ Jesus, you're never alone. And so what I'm going to say to those people is that today you can accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior just by saying, Jesus, forgive me of my sins. I accept you as my Lord and Savior. And those small words have allowed you to now not only have Jesus, not only have God, but a host of angels surrounding you, the Spirit of God protecting you, that no weapon formed against you should prosper. But with that, you have to walk in that faith. And what I'm saying to some people is that we want to look at unrighteousness as saying, it's terrible that this police officer killed George Floyd. Yes, it is. But there's unrighteousness that are right around you that you know that's wrong. You could be at a job somewhere and you know somebody is stealing something from the job and you ain't going to say nothing.
Well, it depends where you work.
Depends on where you. What do you mean? Depends on where you work.
Depends where you work.
Okay, so what does that mean?
It's exactly what I just said.
But you got you know, elaborate on that.
I'm making a joke.
Okay, I'm like, I mean, you know, if you work in the White House under President Trump, you can steal anything you want to.
No, I was making like a wage slave joke. Like you work at Burger King and
because they steal the fries and stuff like that all the time. Boy,
you shut your mouth.
It's still wrong. It's still wrong. I remember one time I knew this guy's name was Derek. I'm not going to say his last name. He worked at McDonald's and they had the prizes and stuff like that. He brought a whole bag of the prizes that you can win, thinking that, you know, maybe you could win something. You know, it's heck. I could have told him they don't give prizes in black neighborhoods. All he wanted was free fries and Cokes, maybe a hamburger. Well, there was no money or nothing.
He works there. Oh, he have all the free fries and Cokes.
I know, but he gave it to someone else who was pulling them open. And I'm like, there's no prizes in here. I didn't even think we won $5. And I mean, there was like thousands of those things. I digress. But I'm going back to what we're talking about with unrighteousness. If we want to stand up against unrighteousness, we cannot choose what unrighteousness we stand up against. We cannot be peculiar people and just say, I'm going to stand with this, I'm not going to stand with that. That's wrong, this is okay. It's almost like saying, somebody cheat on my mama, I'm going to be mad at them, but if my mama cheat on somebody, that's okay. I'm like, isn't it the same thing that it's cheating? So how do we say unrighteousness has a standard based on what I believe or how I feel about the individual that's doing it? That's what we do a lot of times in this world today. We pick and choose who's wrong or right based on what we feel about them.
Well, we pick and choose who's wrong and right based on the color of their skin.
True.
Same person, I mean, light skin, white, brown skin, black, could do the same crime, but we're handcuffed going to jail.
I mean, and it's we're never going to get. Here's the thing, I said this early before. I don't really think people care about what God think anymore. God abhors unrighteousness. It's a sin to him. But I don't think we care anymore. We don't care what God thinks. And I'm talking to Christians too. When I said we don't care what God thinks anymore because we think, God is, he's faithful and just to forgive us of sin and cleanse us of all unrighteousness. Yeah, he is. but doesn't mean he will. There might be one sin that he just said, well, that's it. We don't know the day or the hour when God's going to say, I can't accept this. But we just sit there and we don't even care about God. I mean, we are at a point to me, and I'm pretty big, I'm going off kilter, to a point to me that we're in the period of Sodom and Gomorrah where we just don't care about life at all. And so unrighteousness means nothing to us. It's all based on how we look at it and not how God sees it. And so because we don't think about how God looks at anything anymore, even the godly has made the decision that I'm going to pick and choose who's right and who's wrong. Brenda could do something wrong and I'm saying, she's my wife, I'm going to accept it. LP could do something wrong, he's my nephew, I can accept it. But the guy next door can do the same wrong and I'm saying, that was terrible that he did that. So now we become God, or let me put it this way, I'm going to get some other people mad. We're going to become judge and jury just like we say the police are. When we start policing people like the police do, and we start profiling people based on what we feel, how can we say we're standing against unrighteousness when we become the judge and jury or the God ourselves in our own minds about who is right or wrong based on what we feel about them?
I'm going to read this comment to you and then some other stuff on here.
Okay.
Comment from Mr. Smith. We always become accustomed to destroying where we live. We kill where we live. We don't nurture where we live. Therefore, we do not hold those accountable who choose not to honor uplifting humanity and communities.
Yeah.
Now, what's our topic again? Standing up against unrighteousness.
Right.
A couple of things they said: to stand firm in difficult times of unrighteousness, we must remember to be faithful in our beliefs of what we need to do. To stand firm in difficult times, we must expect persecution. To stand firm in difficult times, again, we must continue in God's word. Like you said, people don't value people, and they don't value God's word anymore. So for those who are righteous, stand tall. It's better in twos than one. If you got the people of like mind to go out there with you to protest, to believe what you believe in, to fight for the unjust, then do it. Because right now, the world we living in, it's not happening at all. Because when you say they don't value a life, it's like right now with COVID, that's just, it's people getting so immune to it. It's like, okay, they died of COVID. It shouldn't be that laxy-daisy right now.
And you said something that's so true. You have to be willing to understand that persecution is going to come. We live in this cancer culture where everybody is trying, you say something, you do something, there's always going to be someone who's going to go against what you do. I mean, you could be trying to walk as righteous as you can, but someone's going to say, you think you better than some other people. You're always going to have something, but you have to be willing to stand for that. I mean, Jesus gave his life. Martin Luther King gave his life because he was willing to stand against unrighteousness.
Gave his life too, then, right?
I mean, you could say that as well. But I mean, we're not saying, hey, give up your life, but is it worth anything to you? I know a lot of people saying, it ain't really that big of a deal. I mean, I love it when you see someone that's all of a sudden they want to, put millions of dollars into something because it happened to them. I'm going to, this person, this disease happened to me, so now I'm going to put money into it. It's just how we do in life. Now I'm upset because this happened to me. Someone got shot on my block, so now I'm going to stand up for it. I mean, we don't care. We're selfish in our unrighteousness, how we want to look at things. And you are going to accept persecution for it, but you have to be willing to stand for it. I was at a job one time, and they asked me if I wanted to be manager, and I told them, I'm like, no. I said, you want to tell you the reason why? They said, it's why. I said, you really want to know the reason why? I said, because I'm the wrong person to ask the truth, because I'm going to tell you. I said, I saw how you treated this white guy, and I'm African American. If you treated him wrong, I know you ain't going to treat me right. You didn't give him what he wanted. How you going to do it to me? And you know, it's like, wow. But I'm just saying, I saw the unrighteousness. This guy deserves something, right or wrong. But I'm saying, you ain't going to treat him right. I know you ain't going to treat me right. Because at that time, and still at this day, African Americans are still not getting paid the same amount of money as their white counterparts. But it was unrighteous, and I spoke on it. Now, you know, you probably say, well, they're probably never going to offer you a job of manager again. They probably won't. But if the situation doesn't change, I don't want it. Don't give me the same amount of work with the less pay. And think that I'm supposed to accept that. What we do a lot of times in our lives is that we accept less because we think that it's okay. So we don't look at unrighteousness anymore. It was just, he was having a bad day, as they said one time before. We don't look at unrighteousness anymore. We don't look at the world as being racist. You know, United States is not a racist country. No, it may not be a racist country. I believe that the whole United States is not a racist country. We're going to talk about that later, country. But its number one major factor of why we have issues is racism.
Yeah, you got some hot comments there. Yeah. Mr. Stevens said, it's being said that the United States will never reach herd immunity because there are so many people, evangelical white Republican men in particular, who refuse to take the vaccine.
Yes.
I don't know why it is so impossible for people to try to put themselves in someone else's shoes or to do something so basic to help society as a whole. Ms. Anna said, West says, Scripture says, speak the truth in love. Yes, it should be said in a humble way, directing the authority to God, but it still says the truth needs to be spoken.
Yeah, and it definitely needs to be spoken. I think we've probably kind of went over our time on this one, but just basically standing up against unrighteousness has to start from within. You have to see unrighteousness in its purest form and not biasly by person to person. Wrong is wrong. And I commend, Miss Cheney for standing up and saying what Trump has done wrong, as much as I commended Martin Luther King for standing up against what was wrong, as I stand up for all leaders now that are standing up and boycotting for what's wrong. I mean, one of the biggest problems I have right now with our Republican parties, which is Democrat and Republican, is that they're more concerned about the party than the people.
Oh, yeah.
And the party can do anything unrighteous, but then you want to penalize the people for the unrighteousness that they do? And I'll say this, and some people are going to get mad at me. I have a big problem with you want to sit there and say all those people that attacked the White House, the Capitol, should be punished when the people who caused the problem in the White House are not being punished. Punish them too. From the president, former president, to anybody else in the Democrat or the Republican Party, any legislation that was involved in that needs to be penalized too, because unrighteousness is unrighteousness. So if you're going to penalize the people who terrorized us and said they were terrorists, then we got terrorists in the White House we need to take care of as well. Get rid of them too.
Get rid of all those gangsters up in there.
Standing up for righteousness, you were going to be persecuted. But if you know Jesus Christ and Lord and Savior, you got an army behind you. Hey, we're going to go on with our next song. I believe I've got it here. The McCain Train Request. Sometimes when you're going through persecution, you just got to be like Smokey Norville and say, I need you now, God. I need you now. So we're going to listen up to Smokey Norville, I Need You Now. A couple of commercials. We'll be right back. Hey, this is Rick McCain along with my baby, my girl, my boo, Alter Ben McCain. LP is in the house with it as well. Hey, we'll be right back after this commercial break.
Ready?
Yes.
This is a good one. This one tickled me.
Did you grab the stuff from the crate?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, what is this face with this Reverend Rick McCain?
It's an ad. You had it in the McCain Train Request.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
RNL Construction.
Oh, I didn't want you to start with that.
It's at the top.
See that little list I got you there?
Oh, I figured you put it in order here too.
No, I can't do it for the crate. But go ahead.
Okay.
Black pastor sent X-rated pic to church volunteer. Resigned after getting called out. Now, this story is wrong on all factors because, one, you're a pastor, higher calling leader of the church, and you claim you got this close friend thing going on. This is one of your stories.
I know.
Close friend thing going on that, oops, I sent this picture of you in your underwear to the wrong person, to the volunteer that work at the church. Now, one, you got a group of friends you send this to, which she called them out on it and said, I know exactly what you doing. Yeah, I see you, but that's wrong on so many levels. So she busted them out, Rick, and I love it for that. It's like, call him out. And I guess she humiliated him that he decided to resign.
You know, we're just talking about unrighteousness and the things that happen. This story troubles me because you're the pastor of the church. You know, and I don't care if your church has got 2 members or 2,000 members or 200,000 members. You're the pastor of the church, and you're sending out nude pictures. We had a situation like this happen before. We talked about a pastor that did this.
Yeah, I can't show the picture.
And yeah, okay. And we he said he can't show the picture, but
Well,
we had
this story, he got underwear on.
I can't show the picture.
we had a situation where this person got mad at us and stopped watching the show because we were talking about their pastor. But
Wrong is wrong.
you know, yeah, wrong is wrong. I mean, I think this is terrible of him sending out these pictures, naked pictures of himself to this young lady. And I mean, he got what he deserved. You know, whatever you do in your private life, you know, you want to keep it private. But as a pastor of God, you need to, you know, have a higher standard. You know, pastors, ministers, people who are servant of God have a higher standard. You fight off those urges to do what the flesh wants you to do. I mean, we all go through those. Any preacher or pastor that says that he does not have to fight off some kind of force of Satan trying to get you to do wrong, then, you know, you're not being used by God the right way. You know, so, I mean, you're going to have those fights that you're going to have to, you know, you fight against. And,
He
you know,
just sent one. He sent 4.
he sent 4.
He sent 4.
So you can't show any of the pictures?
I can't show any of the pictures.
Oh, okay.
I must be looking
Why
at a different
not?
Story.
What do you think? What's wrong with it? It ain't X-rated, is it?
Yeah, these are TOS. These are against terms of service. I can't show these.
Okay. But what are you going to say?
If you search story yourself, you can find them.
Darnell, I'm calling you out. Darnell Barrett, you wrong. This is a young guy that said that he gets, you know, he works out a lot. So he's proud of his body. He trying to get somebody else to look at his body. But I mean, that's the oldest trick in the book. It used to be, oh, I had a dream about you. Okay. And so that I get somebody to talk to you and stuff. But I mean, you know, as I know, say nasty. Yeah, that is. You the pastor of the church.
Jesus Christ.
And you over here accidentally sending your new pictures, you in your underwear, to certain female volunteers for they could see you and start something. But I love the fact that that young lady just, like I said, called them out so well regarding this. It's like, I know what you're doing. And I mean, she really let him have it. It wasn't nothing sweet about it. She told him how she felt about it. And clearly, he knew not to mess with her or hopefully nobody else.
So basically, she didn't ask for these pictures. He just sent it to her.
So
He
accidentally
put them on
sent
his private Facebook stories. So you can make like private, Instagram story. You can like have little private stories so like only certain people can see.
Oh.
And she was on his close friends list apparently, and that's how she saw them.
Okay.
You have to be like manually put on the list.
He and actually thought she was just gonna say,
But I'm just saying,
okay, no
she
problem."
didn't request to see these pictures.
No.
No.
Okay. Well, that's Jesus. Come on, preacher, pastor, come on.
Sit your butt down.
You know.
Like, okay.
You know, I don't know where you at, but now it's time for repentance. You know.
I mean, he left the church. He didn't get kicked out.
But I'm just saying. I mean, you leaving the church ain't the biggest issue. You got to face the Lord God Jesus Christ on what you've done. And I mean, it's not an unforgivable sin, but you need to go to God for forgiveness about what He's done, and then go to that young lady and ask her forgiveness as well, because you did something that was inappropriate. You know,
You have 10 seconds.
so we got to go with that. We got 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So you must have played that song last.
Yeah, I put them in the order that they were in the crates.
Okay.
I'll look at the thing next time.
So we got about 10 seconds. Okay. Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is Rick McCain along with my baby, my girl, my boo, author Brenda McCain. It was talking about an interesting story about a preacher. I want you to talk about that a little bit. Again, we're going to talk about that before we go into our next thing. Preacher sending out pictures of himself to a young lady on a private Facebook page. And she kind of scolded him pretty bad about that. And he had wound up resigning. So what you got to say about this situation, Brenda?
I'm glad she called you out there now. I am glad. You stand, and you know what? This story isn't new. This particular one is, but it's so old within churches that some people do the selfies out there. I got a nice bod, I work out. I'm going to take pictures in the bathroom and send this selfie out to my Facebook friends and to my other friends, and nobody else complained about it. So what's the problem? You came across the wrong volunteer, Pastor Barrett, because she thought that, one, it was disrespectful. You as a pastor, one. Two, you as a male leader doing that, and I'm sure you sending it out to, if you're heterosexual, to your female close friends and stuff. So he trying to explain to her, and then using some cursing words that I don't know how to edit this. You asked me, so I'm going in.
I know you are going in.
Crazy.
So we got a couple of minutes before we get Stephen Best in there. So I want to kind of talk about our next subject, and then we're going to come back to it a little bit for Let's Talk About It. So do that introduction for that.
But let's talk about it now. I got to find my thing. Let's talk about it is in the midst of the storm, I'm still blessed. And people believe we are going through the storm for what, 2 more years?
Yeah, and we're gonna talk about this on after we talk to Stephen and stuff like that too a little bit. But this is not about the COVID situation. This is just everyday life when people are going through storms. We talked about the situation where some people we know are going through some hard times, and a bad situation happened to some people that we love, and it makes you wonder, does God love me? Does God care? Does God know that I exist? Does he understand the pain that I'm going through? And we can get extremely, pessimistic and down, and I think a lot of times you have a lot of people who are taking medication just because of situations they're having, and that if they would just go to God, these things could be taken care of. But we are so disturbed by so many things that are happening in this world. We sometimes wonder, in my world, does God care? And, in the midst of a storm, and I taught this one time, you can learn a lot in the midst of a storm. You can be strengthened through the midst of a storm. You're going through the midst of the storm. Once you get out of that, there's a strengthening part that happens to you in your life. And I came up with this one time when I went through a storm of my own. That's why I say that statement now. If this is the worst thing can happen to me, I'm blessed, because I went through some storms. The key thing of it is, if this is your first storm, and for most of us, if you're past 20, you've been through a storm. But for most of us, it's not our first storm. But if this is your first storm, you've got to know that in the midst of it, you are still blessed. You've got to, you're going to go through it. It's like things happen in life. You're going to go through it, but you are still blessed. And you've got to believe that as you're going through that storm, and just realize, hey, in the rain, we put on an umbrella. The storms, we take shelter. And this kind of storm that you're having in your life, you take Jesus.
You said if you're over 20 or 20, you've probably been through some storms. but it's the mindset is so different when you're young, and when you're going through a storm when you're younger, you don't understand that's the pruning and growing process of what you have to go through. And it's a lesson always learned through a storm. But when you're younger, it's like, oh, my world is ending, da 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 da. That's the way we felt then. And now, if you're still on that level, then you have not progressed in life 30 or 40 years later and stuff. But in the midst of the storm, a lot of people cannot see the goodness that when you open your eyes up, right now. And I know you're looking at the bigger thing, but the last, from 2019 to present, it's a big tornado, tsunami, hurricane, whatever you want to call it. But if you're still here and you listening to the sound of our voices today, you're blessed. Because so many people, we have lost so many people within the last year or so. And the fact of the matter is God spared you to still be here. He still have work for you to do. And if you complaining every day when you wake up, woe is me, what about the people who didn't wake up?
Yeah.
I mean, that makes you think you're blessed to be here, to be able to make it right the next day.
And the thing about it is that when you're going through that storm, and we've all gone through it, don't focus on being in the midst. Focus on what God is doing to you, for you, how he's strengthening you, providing you through the storm. If you're going through the storm, I just think about when I watch the Ten Commandments, and Moses said, I'm seeing this light up there, and I need to check out this light. And then he said, God, what do you want me to do? Because he talking
about the burning bush.
Yeah, the burning bush. He said, what do you want me to do? And at that moment, he was attentive to God to find out what God wanted him to do. He was going to go through some storms. And what I'm saying to somebody is, even before your next storm, because it's going to come, ask God, what do you want me to do? So when the storm comes, you already know what God is going to do. I said this once before, and we're going to get into Stephen in a few seconds. I was at a church one time, and we were praying about something, and I thought what they were doing was crazy. They're praying that the demons would be moved out of the sanctuary, and I'm like, they was there Wednesday, and you think the demons are still here Friday, terrorizing the sanctuary, and as I was in that group, God said release and walk out, and so I walked out, and so all of a sudden now, as God is telling me what's going to happen next. And he said, they're gonna say to pray to you to cast out some demons and stuff like that. And this is what I want you to do. And I didn't think this was gonna happen. At the end of this, night revival thing we had, they said, we want to pray for you. And they start doing it. And I'm sitting there listening to God like, oh my God, this is happening. But God had prepared me for what to say while that situation happened. Why am I using that? If you know that something is going to happen, I pray to God all the time to help me to be able to make it through the day. And make it through the day means whatever happens, I want you to guide me. Give me wisdom, knowledge, and understanding in what to do. I'm not saying prepare for something bad to happen, but be in line with God so much that if something does happen, God has already pre-prepared you for what's about to happen. So when it does, you can go through that storm with the guidance of understanding that God is going to bring you through stronger than you were before.
No weapons formed against you shall prosper.
And I don't know if Stephen's on the line yet.
He is.
But we also, when Stephen comes back, we're going to talk about what happens after you come through the storm. What should you do? So we're going to change things up a little bit, and my LP is going to give me some of the volume in my ears here. And we're going to bring in our friend Stephen Best. Stephen, you there? You can barely hear him.
Hold on, I got it. I'll figure it out. I think it's your phone.
You got to turn up the volume, maybe.
It's not your phone.
Okay, Stephen, give us a second.
Try it now, Steven.
No problem. Testing 1, 2, 3, my friend.
There
Can
you
hear
go.
me?
You're doing
We hear
great.
you.
LP is he's doing what he's paid for. He gets everything together. So before I let you go,
Excellent,
Stephen,
wonderful.
I want to just give you an introduction. I'm gonna do it real simple. This is the person that takes care of our theater for us and a Beyonce lover to the core. He's going to get on the radio show, and if LP puts up another picture of Beyonce, I'm going to fire him.
He said the words.
Stephen takes care of our theaters for us, scouring the globe, getting information for us, and tidbits around the city of Chicago, Chicagoland Theater. No other person is better at doing this than Mr. Best. That's why we call it the Best in Theater, and we have him here tonight. Stephen, how you doing, man?
I am fantastic, and I will be honest, I've got all my notes in front of me. I don't have a single thing that has Beyonce's name on it.
Well, you are a wonderful person. I appreciate that. What you got for us, man?
Well, we're going to dive right in. We're going to start national, and then I'm going to focus here on Chicago. And literally just announced earlier today, Wicked, the Broadway musical, the national tour is the first national tour that is going to resume touring. They are going to come back in full force starting August 3rd at the Music Hall in Dallas. But the reason that I bring this up is it's really going to be the big established shows that are going to reopen first. And so again, I have here in my notes, this popular musical is going to defy gravity, which are the two big songs from that musical. But again, it's important to note that national tours are coming back. It's going to be the big shows first. And while we're talking about the big shows, I was talking earlier today, totally off the record. So I feel like we're doing some National Enquirer stuff here with a friend of mine who has connections with Broadway in Chicago, and it looks like Broadway in Chicago is 100% moving forward with having a permanent Chicago cast in the musical Six.
Wow.
Now, I know we got to see it. We got to see it 2 summers ago at the Chicago Shakespeare Theater. And that same cast is the cast that will eventually open on Broadway.
Excellent.
No official announced on that date yet. But it's looking like this October, Six the Musical is going to have a permanent cast here in Chicago. Now, according to Broadway in Chicago, they are still going to have for audience members temperature checks, and as of today, mandatory proper mask wearing. But for those who are craving their Broadway, it looks like Six here in Chicago, Six the Musical will be the first to open in October. Then the national tour of Frozen is still scheduled to come in November. And Rick's favorite, the Moulin Rouge, is set to open in February 2022. And then over the summer of 2022 will be the Devil Wears Prada pre-Broadway opening. So it looks like shows are absolutely coming back live. Now, for those of you who would rather watch from home,
Stephen, let me just say this to you. Stephen, let me ask you this question real quick with Broadway.
Of course.
Who are we going to be getting our tickets from now that the other girl is gone? I mean, that's going to be one of, we don't, for us theater critics, who we going to be talking to now? Do you know?
Well, I will be honest. I do not have 100% who that person is going to be. However, Broadway in Chicago, and I'm sure all the other theatrical companies still have all of the theater critics' email addresses and contact information. I mean, 3/4 of the stuff that I repeat to you are things that are emailed to me by the Goodman Theater and Steppenwolf by their press people.
Yeah.
So even though the press person that was with Broadway in Chicago has left, they're absolutely going to Broadway in Chicago will have a seamless transition into whomever is taking that role. And so we will still get the invitations. As theater critics, we'll still receive the invitations and press releases and things on a regular basis. Quite honestly, and I promised them I would not reveal their name on the air, but I was truly just texting and a casual conversation, and Six the Musical got brought up, and I was told they're going to move forward with resuming the auditions. Six the Musical, ironically enough, last January and February, they were knee deep, and this was January, February a year ago. They were knee deep in auditions to find a permanent cast here in Chicago, and then in mid-March, everything stopped, everything shut down. And that included the auditioning process, not only for Broadway in Chicago, but truly for every theatrical company. And so now that things are slowly starting to come back, Broadway in Chicago is absolutely dedicated to having a permanent cast of 6 here in the Windy City to run parallel with the cast that will be playing on Broadway.
So if they're bringing those
we're
back,
still gonna get our invitation.
yeah, if they bringing those 6 back that we saw, and I can't believe it's been like a year and a half ago. It's like, my God,
Now those 6 women that we saw, Rick, are these 6 women who will be performing on Broadway.
That's great,
those 6
because they were
locked
awesome.
Into
Yeah.
New York contracts, so they will not be playing those roles here in Chicago. It will be 6 new actresses, and I don't want to say they will all be 100% Chicago-based talent, because Broadway in Chicago has not committed to any official casting yet. But I will be honest with you, I think to any fan of Six the Musical and any fan of Chicago theater, I mean, we have got all 6 of those roles totally cast with amazing talent here in the Windy City.
True.
You know, it's our wish list, but our wish list is not confirmed by Broadway in Chicago yet.
All right, go ahead.
Does
sorry.
that answer your question?
Yeah.
Does that help?
Yeah, go ahead. I appreciate it.
Okay, perfect. Now this is for everybody. I was actually invited at the end of last week by one of the PR reps for this new musical. It is called Island Song. It is from 4 Chairs Theater here in Chicago. It's a Chicago theater-based company, and it's for the number 4 Chairs Theater. The actors and the production team are all from Chicago. Now, this is currently streaming. It actually streams through this Sunday, the 9th. And I will be honest, I caught it late in the run because I had, forgive me, I had stuff going on, and I couldn't see it on its opening weekend. This is filmed, part of it is done Zoom style, and I'll be honest, I thought it was a really charming, offbeat, sort of dramedy. It's set in New York City about a group of young people negotiating personal ambitions and their relationships, and the timeline is set through an entire year. So it sort of had elements of Rent the Musical, and it had a lot of elements of If Then the Musical. This is mostly sung through. It's all original songs. And Brenda, you'll get a kick out of this. There are 6 cast members, but of course the one I thought who stood out the most is our good friend Alan Smith. She plays Jordan the lawyer. And Brenda, you'll remember her because we had our pictures taken with her with Porchside Theater when she was in the Chorus Line, and she was in Gypsy, and she was in Memphis. And then 2 summers ago, she was in The Wizard of Oz at Chicago Shakespeare. We had our hold on. We did not do a photo shoot with her at The Wizard of Oz. She was not made available to us. But we have had many a picture taken with this talented young woman who is an amazing, fine voice, I must add. So again, this is 4 Chairs Theater. And it was set in New York. I will be honest, it a little bit felt like a timepiece because this is definitely set before the pandemic with the hustle and bustle of New York, which is just not what New York looks like now. But I mean, it was cute. It was sort of told through the eyes of a rom-com. It's a delightful escape for 90 minutes. And for those who are interested, again, it is streaming. The tickets are available at 4 chairstheater.org for more information. But it's called Island Song. It's an original piece closing on the 9th. And I just thought I was charmed from start to finish. And just a few more quick announcements. Also announced this week, the Goodman Theater. Now, Rick, you're going to want to get out 5 or 6 tickets for this. The Goodman Theater has announced Tony Award winner and Grammy winner Heather Headley is going to headline the 2021 virtual gala, which is going to stream online May 22nd. Now, this amazingly talented woman is currently, she's on a Netflix show called Sweet Magnolias, but she was in the original she was in the original Broadway cast of The Lion King. She's a Tony Award winner. Ironically enough, she grew up in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and I know her mother. Her mother used to, back when I taught an adult fitness class, her mother used to be one of my regular students, and that's actually how I got to know Heather. Anywho, So the Goodman Theater is going to have Tony Award winner Heather Headley as the headliner, and she's going to have some very amazing Chicago backup, including Bethany Thomas and our girl Sydney Charles will also be performing.
Oh, wow.
Now the proceeds will benefit the Goodman's Education and Engagement Program. The concept is called Theater Center Stage. Again, this virtual fundraiser. Now, here's the part that Rick's going to enjoy the most. Event support starts at $1,000 a seat. So Rick, we'll put you down for 6 or 7 tickets to this. I'm sure Brenda and I can fold under that.
Right. Okay.
But for the Goodman Theater, their virtual gala, Heather Headley is going to be the headliner. And then lastly, and this is 100% free. Back in 1971, choreographer and dancer Alvin Ailey crafted a gift to his mother called Cry, C-R-Y, Cry. It's an Alvin Ailey dance performance dedicated to all Black women, especially mothers. So celebrating this anniversary, you can check out Cry in the virtual season of Alvin Ailey, and you can check it out on their YouTube channel for 100% free. So for a celebration just in time for Mother's Day, I thought I would end with the amazingly talented Alvin Ailey dance troupe. And again, you can check this out on their YouTube channel for free. And that is a price everybody can agree with.
All right, that is great.
And that's it.
All right.
Beyonce's free theater update.
Check your phone.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's got some great things that are happening around there, and I'm really looking forward to theater coming back. I got to really start checking that Let's Play emails, because I know we get a lot of emails, but Brenda's busy, I'm busy, and stuff like that. We need to get back to looking at our emails because I'm sure we're missing a lot of invitations that have been sent to us. So, Stephen, if you see some invitations that are out there that you're getting, kind of throw us a text message, something like, "Hey guys, you're going to look at this. Hey, you're going to look at that," so we can.
You got it, absolutely 100%. And I'll be honest, the invitations that have come out so far have been 100% virtual.
Mm-hmm.
Since these productions are potentially coming back in September, I would look for invitations to start rolling in July or August.
Mm-hmm.
But we, by all means, yes, we will touch base because, let's be honest, hopefully we'll be sitting together at most of them. But yes, you got it, absolutely.
All
wait
right.
a minute, Rick, actually, truth be told, speaking along those lines,
Yes.
I'm starting to hear rumors that some of the Chicago-based festivals could be back as early as July or August.
Okay.
Nothing is 100% set in stone as of today, but there is a good chance Market Days, which is a big festival that normally happens in August, there's a good chance Market Days may actually be happening.
Yeah.
Nothing is set in stone as of today. Later this week, the Ravinia, I believe it is on Friday, the Ravinia, which is, for those who don't know, an outdoor concert venue about 45 minutes north of Chicago, they are going to have a season, and they're going to announce everybody involved on Friday. They wouldn't give me any teasers or any secrets, other than the Chicago Symphony Orchestra will absolutely be playing. They normally do a 6-show season, so that that is going to happen at some point this summer, but actual dates will be announced this Friday, and we will talk in more detail next week, depending on who the other artists are.
That sounds
so
good.
Stuff is slowly starting to come back.
All right. Hey, Stephen, we appreciate you always providing that information about our theater world in Chicago, which I would say is probably the best theater place in the world. I'm sure New York would disagree with us, and so would London. But I still believe that we have one of the greatest, if not the greatest, theaters in the world with the greatest talents that come to the Chicagoland area. So I appreciate that.
I will say this. Unlike New York and unlike London, Chicago itself has over 250 performance spaces, and that is more than London and New York combined.
Yeah.
Although all of those spaces may not be a 4,000-seat venue.
Right.
Chicago is world famous when it comes to theater, my friends.
Yeah, and Chicago is famous, but New York and London, especially, I guess, what they call it, West End.
Yes, London's West End.
Yeah.
That's Broadway.
Yeah.
We call it Broadway in Chicago, but Broadway in Chicago the shows that are on Broadway. So
Yeah.
nothing will ever eclipse New York,
Right.
and the Great White Way.
All right, my buddy, we got to go. So I'll talk to you next Tuesday around about 8 o'clock, okay?
You got it, my friends. Have
All
a great night.
You too,
See
all right.
you.
Bye for now.
Hey, once again, that's Stephen Best of the Best of Theater, covering all the theater around the world in Chicagoland area and providing some information that's going along in Chicago as well. So we're going to turn this over to Miss Brenda, and she's going to talk about Club 50 and Ife Designs. Baby, what you got?
For Club 50, hello, Divas.
Hello.
Last week at Club 50, my topic was You Got This. All my melanin ladies out there, read it. It was inspiring watercolors for you. This week at C50, I will be talking about The Venom is Real. You can read both of these posts at theclub50.com.
Before you go on, I want to read this up real quick because we just got through with theater. This is from Allied Management, one of our sponsors from Illinois Holocaust Museum. Change can start anywhere, even in the jail cell. Don't miss Mandela's Struggle for Freedom, a mesmerizing exposition now open at the Illinois Holocaust Museum in Skokie, just a short drive from downtown. Explore Mandela's role in South Africa anti-apartheid movement and his rise from prisoner to president. There's something for everyone. More information can be found online at i-lholocaustmuseum.org. That's i-lholocaustmuseum.org. Baby, what we got for going on with Ife Designs?
Ooh, Ife Design is going on.
It is popping.
It really is. No, anyway, Ife Designs is bigger, bolder, and brighter just for you. If you have any needs of graphics designs, I'm your girl. You could reach me at my number for those who have it on Facebook or by the email.
Yeah, it's ifedesigns@gmail.com.
Yes, you can reach us by that. But most people I notice are hitting me up on Messenger and texting me for some designs. Like now we in the prom season and boom, we want to do that. And I'm making those potato chip bags, which is the cutest thing, and those Capri Juice bags, pouches for you. So if you have any needs you want, check me out. I'll give you a great deal on whatever you need.
All right, great news. Hey, for those of you all we were talking about, let's talk about it in the midst of storm, but I'm still blessed. We're going to talk about that next week. Come back on to that next week. We apologize for not being able to finish it up. We ran a little bit long on the first subject, and Stephen took too much time talking about theater as well. I'm going to dock him $600 for that. So
I used to keep you guys to a tighter schedule, but then you'd make fun of me on the
yeah.
air. So
Well, I mean, you're probably going to have to do that again, too. He was a little bit abrupt. It's time to go. I'm like, whoa, come on now. You know,
well, do you want to talk about all the topics?
hey,
or
do
not?
like 5 minutes or something like that. Have some, treat us like we adults. That's all.
Am I allowed to read this?
No. Go ahead.
This is an interesting letter here.
So you're finna do the relationship letter. Let people know what you're about to do, baby.
I am about to do the relationship letter.
Okay.
You're supposed to let me into that. Stephen Best wanted you to know Beyonce.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay. Okay, the LSTT relationship letter. Dear LSTT, Mother's Day is right around the corner, and although I've raised my daughter, I am not her biological mother. In fact, I am her sister. I am significantly older than my sister daughter by 23 years. My father had an affair on my mother, and although my mother is no longer here, and my sister daughter biological mother gave her up after a month of having her when my mother nor my father didn't want to raise her. She unfortunately went into the foster care right from the beginning. After I graduated from college, my heart ached for her, so I searched to find her. It took some time, but I did. I was granted a nice life, college educated, and married. My husband and I couldn't have kids, so we sought out to adopt. When the opportunity came, we chose her. My husband and daughter doesn't know she is my biological sister.
Oh, wow.
We have been raising her for 15 years as our own. LSTT, should I reveal the truth or take this to my grave? Sincerely, knowing the truth isn't easy.
Wow. I don't know if LP, you got anything want to say about that?
I don't really. I mean, it's probably like a very important thing for you, but it doesn't sound like it'd be a big deal to me personally. It'd be, it's like, oh, by the way, the person we adopted is my sister. It's like, oh.
You wouldn't care that if I was your brother and I adopted you, and as I wanted to treat you as my child, but you realized that you was my brother?
No.
Okay.
It'd be different if it was like a romantic relationship or something like that, right? But it's like, oh, all right. Like, I don't know. Me personally, I don't really.
No, that's all we're looking for.
I wouldn't have any issues.
I can see that there being an issue with it from the individual. I think it's a wonderful thing that they've done. First, let's start off with that. She seeked out her sister to help raise her. This young lady seemed like she went through a lot of problems from the beginning of her life, and it troubled her so much, and so she wanted to bring her in to her family. I would have preferred her at that time to have said something about that you are my sister and not my child, because I think when you raise a child, you treat the child different than you would a sister or someone who's a sibling of yours. You can chastise a child more than you can a sibling if that person has it, because you all should be on equal playing field.
She's 23 years older, so she a mother figure.
Even with that, we still should be on the same playing field because we came from the same mother.
No, they did not.
Or we're still we're still siblings. Okay, let's just put it that way, since everybody wants to correct me here. But I just think that the situation is that she probably should have told her that you are my sister, because then that person knows who she is. She could find out more things, I don't think is necessarily anything wrong, but when you have the capability to tell her the truth at the beginning, you should have told her. Now you're allowing this person to live a life that is not 100% truthful. She doesn't really know who she is. With all the stuff that you might be still telling her, you're not her mother, you're her sister, and you should let her know.
This is a hard one. Stephen says she has played the role of mother, and that is just fine. But that's a beautiful thing for her to do, because she wanted to stay near her sister, even though she came into her life in a deceitful way from her father. The fact of the matter is, wow, you conceived this child and you ready to toss her into the system, and then her mother didn't want to, most women, if your man have a affair, you're not bringing a baby for me because this ain't fences to raise your child, but for your own mother to discard you. So I love the fact that the sister decided to adopt her, but to me it seems like, you adopt her, you're 23 years older. She got her as a little baby, so she raised and reared her up like her daughter. But there should have been a time somewhere, since she's 15 now, and that's the age you're curious about everything. Yeah. You should tell her. I don't think you should take that to the grave. It's a beautiful thing that you guys are related. Let her know, I am your sister, but I'm raising you as my daughter.
Right. I mean, and I think she should. I mean, no one is. I'm not saying that what she didn't do was one wonderful thing. Absolutely, she did a wonderful thing. But you can't just say, you can't assume because I've done so many good things that this one thing that I didn't do right, doesn't compare to what I did. Right. It's still very deceptive. She should know who you really are, not her.
And it should come from her.
Yeah. I mean, wonderful thing that she's raised her as a child. I mean, there's a lot of sisters out there that have raised their siblings as their child because they have to. But you want to be honest with her. You should have told her at the beginning, or at the age where she would understand the difference, instead of holding on to it now. And I think that, you might want to clear up that dishonesty and allow that child to make the decision of what she wants, because she may not want to call you mom anymore. She may want to just call you sis. It doesn't still mean that you didn't mother her to her maturity. Yes, you did. Congratulations. Awesome. Wonderful job. But give her the option to choose what she wants to do, and not you make the decision for her.
Yeah, a comment here before we close out with knowing the truth isn't easy. Anna says, Do not take it to your grave. Absolutely not. Bad idea. I was kept from my biological siblings for years because my mother took it to her grave. My mom thought she was right, and I love her for thinking she was protecting me. But Rick is right. Tell the truth. And it will. You know what? Because you don't know, she might could handle it. Like LP said, it wouldn't bother him long as you was reared in a healthy way.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, thank you for that. But a lot of people, that's where the breakdown come with a lot of families and stuff. You don't know who's who in your life. You know?
LP, I am your father.
Good
That'd be weird.
Lord Jesus.
Talk about Darth Vader that was just doing that.
Yeah.
He knew that.
Talk
Hey,
about
you know,
like
that's
who?
awesome letter. If you're interested in sending some letters to us, you can go to Let's Stay Together Talk Show at gmail.com. If we read the letter, we will inform you about it. If you want to keep your name anonymous, you can do that as well. But send all your letters to Let's Stay Together Talk Show at gmail.com. And as Brenda said, just tell the truth.
I was saying that's her name. Knowing the truth isn't easy. We never reveal a name.
Yeah,
It was all kind of different.
Different names.
Closing thoughts.
Closing thoughts. All right. So we're about to get ready to close up.
20 seconds.
Yeah. What
May
you got?
the 4th be with you. See
Okay, what you
I'm
gotta say?
saying? Okay. Nice show. Love you guys. Still praying for both Johnson's family and the Silla family and the Brown family. Praying for you guys.
All right. And next week, we're going to be bringing back up again In the Midst of a Storm. But I'm still blessed. Hey, we're about to get ready to end that show. LP is going to be playing our last song for us. It's going to be Luther Vandross, So Amazing. So hope you enjoyed the show. This is Rick McKay, along with my baby, my girl, my boo, Arthur Brenda McKay, LP Productions. We'll see you next Tuesday, 6:30. Woo! Let's see, that was good the way you did that. That was good. See that? Did he do a better job there? He didn't just bum rush us. You know, he told us closing thoughts. That was good. LP is getting great at this stuff. I'm telling you, he's getting so good. I don't think I'm gonna have to pay him anymore.